Your bravery coming here today. I know it's not easy for any of the witnesses. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Thank you. I recognize Mr. Knott from the state of North Carolina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the witnesses here, thank you for your time. Thank you for your testimony. Ms. King, it's always good to see you again. Mr. Asher, I want to start with you. You talked about the decline in the homicide rates over the last time period. What time period specifically are you referring to?
In general, murder rose 30% nationally in 2020, had stayed generally at that level between 2020 and 2022, fell about 10% in 2023. Last year, the FBI had it at 14, 15%, and then so far, the best estimate is roughly a 20% decline this year.
And what, in terms of the homicides that you're referring to, what are the overall numbers per year on average?
2014 is previously the lowest murder rate ever recorded in the U.S. was about 14,500. In 2020, it hit about 22,000.
And are you referring to convictions, charges?
No, this is just from police reporting. This has nothing to do with the prosecution angle.
The only reason why I'm asking is you're aware that it is a homicide to sell a lethal dose of drugs, correct?
So in this case, it's the difference between a homicide and a murder. From the prosecution side, that can be a homicide, but from the way that the FBI is counting it, it would be a non-murder homicide.
A non-murder homicide. Okay. Well,
yes.
A homicide a criminal activity results in the death of the victim, correct?
Yes.
And isn't it true that since 2000 there have been roughly 1.5 million victims who have lost their lives because of overdoses?
I don't have that number, but I can't.
Okay. So I don't doubt that. That's not as rosy as, crime is going away, crime is decreasing, correct? That's 1.5 million Americans over the last 20 years.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so that's some fascinating numbers right there. Now, this guy, this witness that's speaking, he come in with his opening statement, and he's talking about, oh, crime is great, crime is down, and blah, 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 blah. He started throwing out all these statistics. Well, folks, as we know, we've been covering these issues. As a matter of fact, we know that several localities in mostly blue states have been flubbing the numbers on the crime statistics to try to make it look like there's less crime. Now, there's many reasons for this, and there's many reasons why it appears like there's less crime, but there's not. But we're going to get into all this. Y'all do me that favor, smash that like button for me, subscribe if you're new around here, share this video anywhere and everywhere you can, click the join button, sign up, and become a member. It's the best way to help me out, y'all. You know you want to. Y'all do all that, and here's the rest of the hearing.
Who are not captured in this batch of stats. It's astounding. It's astounding. You're also aware that there was a leader in the Capitol Police Department, Mr. Michael Pulliam, who was suspended for manipulating crime data to make it appear that his community was safer than it actually was. You aware of that?
You're talking about Washington, D.C.?
Yes.
I'm familiar with the allegation. I believe that it's under investigation.
Yes. So it is potentially feasible that the conclusions that you're deriving, taken from police departments, are not the full picture.
I believe that it is the full picture.
I know you do, but it's possible. I'm just asking if it's possible.
So crime data is very flawed.
You just disregarded 1.5 million dead Americans.
Well, I'm not disregarding
to try to paint the picture
anybody,
that we are in a safer community
now. Even overdoses are falling this year. I think that I can appreciate it.
That's because they've been so elevated.
Well,
and they're falling because we have protected the American citizens by securing the border.
One can appreciate a trend that we are seeing currently, a downward trend in both overdoses. We're seeing a downward trend in murder. We're seeing a downward trend in violent crime, while also not saying that these trends are acceptable, that the problem is solved.
When you sit here and look at and talk to the people on the ground in Charlotte, sir, I would submit that your conclusions are not tethered to reality. Now, Officer Campbell, I want to talk to you just briefly about various initiatives. There's been a lot of discussion about partisanship and how the Democratic Party is not soft on crime. And there are some Democrats who are not soft on crime. But in terms of defunding the police, a clarion call for the Democratic Party, does that make us more or less safe?
I would say that makes us less safe.
What about working feverishly against long-term incarceration? Is that more or less safe?
Less safe.
Mr. Woody, what about cashless bail? Again, that's a uniquely partisan initiative funded by Democrats nationally, locally, and state level. Does that make us more or less safe?
Cashless bail makes us less safe.
Mr. Campbell, in regards to the complete disregard of our borders, our immigration laws, does that make us more or less safe?
Less safe.
What about decriminalizing all drugs? That's a partisan initiative in some parts of the country. More or less safe?
Less safe.
What about funding NGOs, tens of billions? We talk about funding, we talk about mental health, we talk about victims funding, tens of billions of dollars over the last 4 years that was handed directly to people who were here illegally. Does that make us more or less safe?
Be less safe.
So it seems to me that we have an ideology problem, not a funding problem. And would you say it's a coincidence that the top 10 most dangerous cities in the country are led locally by Democrats? Is that a coincidence?
No.
Now, Mr. Federico, I want to ask you, there's been a lot of discussion about you cannot incarcerate your way to public safety. Do you agree with that?
Well, how can we find out? We don't do it.
Right.
I mean, there's percentages out there that after 3 years, after 3 years of release, 68% of them are rearrested.
Right.
So we've got to figure it out first. Put them there first, then let's do the math.
Right. If someone has 39 arrests, 25 felonies, you think they've earned the right to be in a jail cell?
He is probably one of the best resumes of a criminal.
You think he deserves mental health, or does he deserve to be in jail?
I think he deserves to be dead.
Yeah. Ms. Alderman, in regards to your tragedy, again, thank you for being here. Did the criminal who affected you so mildly, does he deserve mental health, or does he deserve to be in jail?
The
Time
criminal,
has expired, but I'll let you finish that question.
the criminals who killed Mary are not mentally ill, so it's not a valid concern of mine.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have a
Okay, folks, so we know something has gone horribly wrong when you're talking to a crime data statistician, for goodness sakes, and he says, well, all the data says it's going down, crime is going down, but, crime data is absolutely flawed, and we have no idea what's going on. It's so fascinating, folks. I love these people that come out and say, oh, look, crime is down. It's down 30%. Yeah, after it spiked 40% in 2020. Yeah, crime shot way up during and after COVID. We all know this. And now everybody's coming out trying to say, oh, look, crime is down, blah, blah, blah. Carjackings are down, robberies are down, blah, blah, blah. This is down, that is down, that is down. But, folks, look, I'm going to be honest. I'm just going to come out and say it plainly. Look, okay, some of this crime is due to social media trends. Now, I say that, and what I mean by that, simply that, more and more people have cell phones, basically a camera on them, and they have it on the ready. They've got their quick buttons or whatever. They can pull their phone out, boom, boom, and just start recording instantly, folks. So we're going to catch a lot more crimes on videos, right? So you see an endless stream of crimes coming on social media. So that's part of the trend as to our perception as to the crime. But when we're looking at the data itself, right? If people are going around flubbing the numbers on the crime data, that tells you something very, very dark is happening in this country. They want people to feel safe when they know damn good and well it is not safe. We've got all this soft on crime nonsense. That guy, Mr. Federico, his story is absolutely horrific. I know I was talking about in my last session, that one lady, I kept saying, yeah, I'm going to run her opening testimony and blah, 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 and I never did. Well, this guy, he definitely deserves, if anybody deserves to have their opening statement, their testimony, reacted to essentially, then that's the one. It's absolutely horrific. The guy that murdered this man's daughter was released out of jail. He had 25 felonies on his record. He had been arrested 39 times in his whole life, right? The dude was only like in his mid-30s or something like that. 39 freaking times. That's absurd. That's like twice a year, over twice a year in some cases. And what does that tell you? He had 25 felonies. Think about that for a second. The dude's 30, we'll say 35. I don't think that was his exact age, but it's somewhere around in there. Think about that for a second. That means he had his felonies that he committed, he never served much time. I think the data they were going over was in his entire life, he had only served 600 and some odd days, 0.2, right? 600 and some odd 0.2 days for 25 felonies, folks. And they say, Democrats say they're not soft on crime. Of course they're going to say that because it sounds bad when you say, yes, we're absolutely soft on crime. We treat criminals with kid gloves. We coddle them. We let them suckle up on the government teat. No, I'm sorry, folks. We need to be a lot more tough on crime than what we are. We need to go after these criminals. Like I said yesterday, we need to make prison punishment again. You don't go to prison to reform yourself. I am sorry. That is not how prison works. If you want reformation through prison, then give these people mandatory, like, therapy sessions, give them some kind of skills, make it a college, essentially, where you can teach these people a trade, something. Don't just put them in a room with a bunch of other criminals and just let them sit there, for goodness sakes, because that's what they do, right? When you go to prison population, you've got, I don't know how many cells to a pod, maybe 20. And then you've got 2 men per cell, 3 men per cell. It just depends on the prison that you go to. So you've got over 100 guys, criminals, in a room, and they're stuck with each other. Do you think you're going to get anything good out of that? No, folks. Prison is not for reformation. Prison is for punishment. That is what it is for. And we have gotten away from that. We don't want to punish these criminals. We don't want, the idea that underpins all this, cashless bail and all this nonsense is innocent until proven guilty. Well, folks, look, I agree with that, right? To some extent. But violent crime, we cannot take that risk. If somebody is arrested for a violent crime, we pretty much know that they did it, then they should stay in prison until they go to court. I'm sorry. You want, to get these people out of there quickly and prove their freaking innocence, for crying out loud? Then hang on just a second. How about you stop meddling around with nonsense and you get these people through trial quickly instead of letting this thing drag out for a year or 2. That's nonsense, folks. That's something else that needs to be changed. It's crazy, the judicial system, the criminal justice system, if you will, in this country. I wouldn't say it's broken, but it's really backlogged because culture, folks. We must teach these people not to get out there and commit crimes. There must be deterrence for crimes. You can't just let people out of jail. They're going to go commit more crimes, for goodness sakes. And it escalates, folks. People start off with something simple, like a theft or robbery or something like that, and then it just escalates from there. Repeat offenders. It's all of it's nonsense, folks, and something must change. We cannot live with this amount of crime. I don't care if it's going up. I don't care if crime's going down. We can't live like this, folks. We must change the culture. We must bring the father back into the nuclear family, for crying out loud. Keep these family structures together, because that right there will make people much, much less likely to end up in prison, for goodness sakes. But I think I've rambled on for long enough. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. I'm sure you guys have your opinions, so y'all make sure and fill up that comment section down there. Don't forget to smash that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new around here. Share this video anywhere and everywhere that you can, all over the place, all at the same time, if you could. That would be great. No, I don't have a nervous twitch, seriously. But if y'all could, do me a favor, click that join button. Folks, I need y'all's help. We got to push back against this mainstream narrative machine, folks. And I need y'all's help to do that. So you guys, right now, look right below the video and click that join button. Sign up and become a member. That's the best way to help me give you guys the news. And y'all check out my regular videos. I just do these just because I love doing these. So, check out my regular news videos. And remember, folks, that God has a plan for everybody. You may not know what that plan is, but he has a plan specifically tailored to you. And he loves each and every one of you out there. So y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.